If you're waiting for an Australian housing market crash to finally buy a home, I have some very uncomfortable data for you. While the experts predicted a cooling period, 2025 just closed as the strongest year since the pandemic boom. National values are up 8.6%, and the setup for 2026 is looking even more aggressive. I'm Calinda, and you're watching CalindaReports. The final housing data for 2025 just dropped, and it's a massive wake-up call. Last year, forecasters told us to expect a measly 1 to 5% growth. Instead, the market added an average of $70,000 to home values in just 12 months. Today, we're stripping away the noise to look at the hard numbers: which cities exploded, why supply is still failing, and why 2026 might be the year that permanently locks an entire generation out of the market. The great forecaster failure. Let's start with the receipts. At the start of 2025, every major bank was calling for a modest year. But look at the reality. National dwelling values surged nearly 9%. This wasn't just a Sydney or Melbourne story. This was a nationwide surge. Every single capital city finished the year higher than it started. The market didn't just beat expectations, it smashed them. Engagement. Question. Did your local area feel like it grew by $70,000 last year? Tell me your suburb and what you're seeing at open homes right now. The winners and the sentiment wobble. The growth followed a very specific pattern. Affordability. The explosions. Perth led the charge at 15.9%, followed by Brisbane at 14.5%, pushing its median price over the $1 million mark for the first time. The laggards, Sydney and Melbourne, were softer at 5.8% and 4.8%, but they're still at record highs. Now, toward the end of the year, you might have heard people say the market is cooling because of a slight dip in December. Don't be fooled. That wasn't a market breakdown. It was a sentiment wobble. People got nervous about rates staying higher for longer, but the underlying engine, supply, never changed. Why 2026 won't bring relief? So, what is the outlook for the Australian economy 2026? Most researchers, from AM to ESCM, are forecasting another 6 to 10% growth. Here is the part most people miss. These forecasts assume no rate cuts. How can prices rise with high rates? Because interest rates aren't the driver anymore. The housing shortage is. We aren't building enough homes, and population growth is relentless. Between 2022 and 2023, rates rose aggressively, yet prices didn't collapse. They paused, adjusted, and climbed. We've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends. The insider move. If the structural shortage remains, and it will, then a further 8 to 10% growth in 2026 isn't just a guess. It's a mathematical probability. The cost of living Australia is biting, but for those with equity, the wealth gap is only widening. If you want to stay ahead of the next data drop and navigate these dark times as a property insider, you need to be part of this community. Next step. I've done a deep dive into the regionals versus capitals debate, specifically focusing on Newcastle, Geelong, and the Gold Coast. Click here to watch that before you make your next investment move. I'll see you in the comments.